Hello and welcome back to my channel. Doom Waves here, and I got a tag response initially from MrNorwegianNOOB, and it has been passed on down to Dustin Christ, and then to FemTrooper, and then now to me. This is kind of a chain letter kind of a thing, chain video thing on YouTube that we're participating in, and I think it's a very good idea, as has everyone else, and seems like it's pretty well received, and that's really great, because I think as a whole, you know, even though we all have our own thing going on, you know, as far as games go, we're all part of this gaming community here on YouTube, and I think it's really great. So I want to thank first FemTrooper for letting me be next. That's very cool, and also thank you to MrNorwegianNOOB for starting this kind of thread. It's pretty cool. And I'm cheating a little bit. I got several games too. I don't know, it's hard to pick just a gem for me because I like so many different kinds of games. So I've actually picked 4. These 4 games, I tried to stay away from extremely popular games somewhat, with maybe one exception here. Well, 2 exceptions. Whatever. I'm just going to go with it here. And first off is a pair of Game Boy games. Now, I think that for the most part, a lot of people are kind of leery of Game Boy games at first, if they didn't grow up with the system, because a lot of the older Game Boy games lacked a lot of depth. And a lot of them were just Game Boy ports of games that already existed for the Nintendo and Super Nintendo and things like that. So they were really, really dumbed down versions of different games. And this one of them is for the original Game Boy, one of them is for the Game Boy Color. And I'll start off with this one. And I hold a lot of nostalgic value for this game, so it's a gem to me. Because, first of all, it was my very first game that was mine, that belonged to me. My original NES system was actually my parents', and so all those games in the system I just inherited. But this game is the first game that was actually mine. It was the game that came with my Game Boy system, and that is Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. Now, I know this isn't, you know, like a hidden gem or anything like that, because, of course, the name Zelda alone is, you know, one of the most, you know, popular game franchises in history, of course. And I feel like this game kind of gets, you know, I don't know, kind of fades into obscurity somewhat. You don't hear about this game like you do the original Legend of Zelda, and you certainly don't hear about this game when compared to Link to the Past. What I will say, though, is this game is the Game Boy version of Link to the Past, as far as the overall, I don't know, kind of look of the game. But I will say, this game stands on its own. It's not the same story at all. It's not like they tried to readapt the Link to the Past story to fit it on Game Boy. No, it's a completely different story, completely different adventure, and I don't know. It's just a really good quality game, and it definitely is a standalone Zelda game. And if you haven't played this, seek out a cart, you know, and play it on your GameCube if you're really against handheld gaming or something. You know, I'm not even opposed to ROMs. Go find a ROM of this game and play it. If you can't find a cart, of course, because seriously, it is one of the best Zelda games, especially, you know, for the older systems. I've played Link to the Past, but only on the Game Boy Advance. So I mean, I can't, you know, really talk about the Super Nintendo version because I never had that one. Now the other one is, in the Game Boy Color game I have here, is in fact I won't say dumbed down, but a condensed version of its original games, because the maps were too big to fit onto a Game Boy game. But that is the original Dragon Warrior and Dragon Warrior 2. Now, When I say that it's a condensed version, I absolutely do not mean that it is a second-rate version of the game. By far, these two ports of these games are amazing. If you've never played the original Dragon Warrior for the NES, and you don't have a lot of nostalgia for the NES like myself, this is a very, very, very approachable way to play those games. You could beat both of them in probably, I don't know, less than 15 hours, I'll say. You can beat the first one absolutely in less than 10 hours, and I'm partway through the second one too. But I won't even say how much time it'll take to play through the second one, because I've heard that it's a pretty long game. It can be. But the maps are condensed a little bit, so you don't have as much walking to do. And grinding goes a lot quicker. You get more money and more experience from fighting monsters than you do on the original versions on the NES. So the game just moves a lot quicker, but you still don't miss out on things. It still has all of the weapons, pretty much, I think, pretty close. And I think pretty much all of the monsters, maybe with a few exceptions, but all of the same areas. You still have to go the same directions and things like that. So it's a pretty true port, as far as, they didn't take away anything, just some walking time. So these versions of this game, that's why I consider this a gem, because not many people know that these games were ported to the Game Boy. And I think that, like I said, if you are worried about the NES versions for some reason, go find this cart. This is a really good way to play those games, and you can play it on the go, on your Game Boy Color, Game Boy Pocket, or even on the original Game Boy, because it does have the little tab. You can play it on any of the handhelds versions that will play Game Boy games, and you can put it in your Game Boy player, on your GameCube, Super Game Boy, so you can blow it up and put it on your TV, play through the games, and have a really great time. And I must say, the color on these are awesome. I actually like the color on the Game Boy Color version tons better than the original NES version. Dare I say, I actually enjoyed this more than the first one. I won't say it, but I thought it. Okay, next up, what would my personal hidden gems be without two things? One, an id game, and the other, an NES game. So, of course, the NES game I picked is Wizards and Warriors. Now, I don't hear many people talking about this game. Every now and then, I'll find somebody that, when I talk about it, they'll comment, "Oh yeah, I used to love that game." This game is incredible. It's got a ton of replayability for me. It's just all around, just action, jumping around, picking up gems, fighting off monsters, bats and snakes and things like that. It's just great. I mean, it's just really great fun. And the boss battles are cool. And it's just not that tough of a game. I think that's part of the reason that I fell in love with this game at a really early age. I used to watch my dad play this game all the time, and the music is just burned into my memory, and it's just such a good game. And it's very, very short. If you've played it through it several times like I have, I can beat it in probably 45 minutes. And that's cool. I mean, I think it is. And as promised, I do have an id game. Now, this is one that I just did a video on recently, and I talked about very highly of. And it's not very widely received, and mostly people think it's better on the computer. And I'm not going to talk about, which version you play, whether you play it on the computer or you play it on the Xbox 360. I don't know if there's a PS3 port or not, but it is Quake 4. I think that this is a very, very underrated story in the Quake series, and as far as id games in general, and definitely in first-person shooters. I think this is a really great game. It's it's pretty simple. I mean, obviously, the harder the difficulty, the harder it is to live, because you're getting shot at. But it's, very, linear. I hate using that word, but at the same time, I know its meaning. And it is that. There's not a lot of deviation. You just go where you're supposed to go, and you shoot who you're supposed to shoot, and you just do what you're supposed to do. But at the same time, if you're if you're new to the Quake universe, I mean, it's a really cool way to get used to or get into the universe, the main character, and the Strogg, the aliens that you're fighting. You're on the Strogg planet, shooting, trying to infiltrate and destroy basically their hub, their information hub. That's basically what you're trying to do in the game. And I don't know, it's just visually, I think it's cool. Just getting to see these things, with the newer graphics and things. Graphically, I mean, it's not the best game in the world. It came out, I think, in like 2005. Yeah, 2005 for the PC. So I mean, it's not amazing. Oh my God, best graphics in the world, because I really don't care about that sort of thing. But at the same time, just to look at this on the screen is really cool. I get kind of the same vibe from this that I get from Doom 3, which I absolutely love also. So if you like Doom 3 on the PC or the original Xbox, I think you'll like this one too. Okay, that is my gems. Passing along the gems. Thank you once again to FemTrooper for nominating me, and all the way back to Mr. Norwegian Noob. Great idea for a video. And I am going to keep it moving forward here, and I am going to pass it to my good friend and fellow YouTuber. I cannot pronounce his YouTube name, so I am going to botch it. So I'm just going to put it right here on the screen somewhere. Starts with a TGApuleius or something like that. Apuleius. I'm going to mess it up. But very awesome YouTuber. Very smart dude. I enjoy talking with him back and forth on PMs and stuff and comments on a lot of my videos. And I just have this feeling that he's just got this really amazing gem that he wants to share with the YouTube universe and everyone who's kind of following this thread. So thanks for watching. Doomwaves out.